Hello, and thank you for being one of 6 people to download this podcast.
And remember, you can download this podcast on Podbean, iTunes and YouTube, and follow us at Layman Experts on Twitter.
Hello, and welcome to the Layman Experts. You're joined by me, Payam Tagizada, and Alistair Yeoman.
Hello.
Hello, Alistair. How are you?
I'm very well. It's lovely weather today, but I'm extremely excited for the FIFA 2018 World Cup, which is upon us in only a few weeks.
I know.
World
Cup fever's hitting us.
World Cup fever is starting to get there, you know. Like, I think when the England squad was announced, that's when I was like, wow, it's actually not too far off now.
Yeah, I can't remember last time I was this excited about an England World Cup team. Actually.
I know what you mean. Like, as in, we don't know what to expect from them.
Yeah, usually I'm expecting nothing. But maybe this is what gives a bit more excitement.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't know what to expect from them, but definitely more excitement. Hopefully they can score a goal against Panama and then delve to a good start. It's Tunisia's first game, isn't it?
I think so. Either Tunisia or Panama, I can't remember which one.
To be honest, I don't really care how they do it, as long as there's loads of fan zones where everyone's getting completely wasted. I'm so excited for that, being in London,
Yeah, enjoying it. Because I think 4 years ago I was back in Wales, so I didn't get to enjoy.
Yeah, not as good.
No.
Our home nation isn't as good, is it, as London?
No, unfortunately.
That's the harsh reality.
It's good when Wales are playing.
Yeah, which is, so twice a year it's decent.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to focus on a question, and the question is, what factors will determine who win the FIFA 2018 World Cup? Before we dive into that, we're going to have a little chat. So I want to actually ask you a few questions, Payam.
I'm excited.
A few World Cup questions, okay? And I want to see how many... These are quite cool facts. And I'll be interested to see if you can get any of them, to be honest.
If I get one, what do I get? I think I should deserve £5 for each correct question.
I can't afford that. If you get one right, I'll buy you an ice cream at some point.
Okay, nice.
Summer.
At some point. At some point
in the next 5 years, I'll buy you an ice cream. So the first one, okay, what nation has the most red cards in the history of the competition?
Blimey, that is... I'm going with Germany.
Wrong. So you get 3 guesses.
Okay, it wasn't Germany. Well, history of the World Cup. The Dutch?
Wrong. Third one. You're just thinking of De Jong then.
Yeah, I was thinking of De Jong. Okay, is it a World Cup winning team? Or is that too much information? Is that too obvious if you tell me that?
It is a World Cup winning team.
Le Bleu? France?
No, it's Brazil.
Brazil?
Yeah. 11. Exactly. You wouldn't. So the beautiful footballers of Brazil have got 11 red cards. Second is Argentina with 10, and third is Uruguay with 9.
Those South Americans, mate. They win at all costs. That mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Well, clearly. Okay. So you failed horrendously then that one. Okay. Lucky second question. Okay. Which striker or which player has the record for the most goals scored in a single World Cup?
I go Ronaldo. Closer?
No, neither.
Oh, is it?
It's 13 goals this person scored.
In one World Cup?
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Is he German?
No, he's not German.
I don't have a clue.
Juste Fontaine, is it? Is that you say the French guy? Juste Fontaine. He was in 1958. He scored 13 goals.
13, mate. Before my time. Yeah. I didn't remember back then.
Yeah, lethal. And actually,
13 goals in one World Cup.
In a single match, who's scored the most goals, and how many goals do you think in a single match?
Closer.
Wrong.
God, I don't know any of these. Okay, was it?
It's 5 goals.
It's 5
Pretty
goals.
Impressive.
I don't think anyone in my lifetime scored 5 goals in one World
It's
Cup.
a Russian forward from 1994. He scored 5 goals against Cameroon. His name is Oleg Salenko.
Salenko. I couldn't have guessed that at all.
So that's 0 out of 2 so far. Well, that's 3 questions, 0 out of 3. How many World Cups have been won by a coach who is a different nationality to the team who won the World Cup with?
Blimey, this is tough. Okay, I'm going to go with 1.
0.
0. God, I knew 0. I was going to say 0. Then I thought to myself...
Don't scream too loud. It's a Sunday evening.
Sorry, I'm annoyed with myself. I was really disappointed.
Okay, this is the one you're most likely to get, I think.
Okay.
Before you said it, when I was looking at the questions earlier, I was like, this is the one he's probably going to get. The other one, I didn't think he had a chance, to be honest.
You were right to think that.
Who is the smallest ever country to compete in the World Cup by population? And it's a 2018 team.
Iceland.
Correct.
Yes, ice cream, baby.
And if you were to have a stab at the number of people like the number of residents of Iceland.
500,000? 300,000?
Yeah, it did. So it's 334,000.
Yeah. I remember.
So I'll give you half a mark for that.
Thank you.
Actually, no, you got Iceland as well.
Yeah, I got Iceland.
Okay, you got 1 out of 5. 5?
Yeah.
That's all right. That's not bad. It's quite hard questions. But yeah, the point is that I'm extremely excited, and I think and the thing is as well that like those stats, it just shows that little things can come out of each World Cup.
Yeah. And even though I thought I knew everything about football, clearly I don't.
Well, and it's probably going to be some sort of record will probably be broken this World Cup in some way. When Iceland scored their first goal, that'll be a record, won't it? So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what
maybe
happens.
How many England fans will boo at the same time the team. Something along those lines.
How many England fans will call Harry Kane the shittest striker in the world when he misses his first shot?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on with the podcast. Thank you for introducing it. How are we gonna tackle this subject?
So I think we agreed that when we're talking about factors that are important or crucial to win the World Cup, the sort of 3 factors we focused on were tactics, player mentality, and preparation. And I think all those 3, wrap up into a team being not just world class, but actually having a chance of winning a knockout competition, which is can be ruthless, and those little moments always count, don't they?
That's true. That's true. So, shall I kick us off?
Yeah, kick us off.
So, you don't mind?
Yeah, it would be an honour. Tactics first of all, Pine. What we thinking when we talk about tactics for you?
Well, looking at this World Cup coming up, there are players that really stand out in each team, or the big teams. Brazil have Layman, Messi for Argentina, even England with Harry Kane. But it's important to get the best out of these individual superstars.
Definitely.
And I wanted to focus on probably one of the best ever players, Diego Maradona.
Yeah.
Who is well known for, people say he won Argentina the World Cup in 1986. He won player of the tournament. He did excellent. He created the hand of God. Yeah. Which some people might call pioneer the hand of God.
and actually, when he was I think it was Napoli, where they also said he single-handedly got them to where they were as well. So I think he's done this both at club and country, right?
Yeah, he was very successful. Actually, I saw an agent speaking to randomly Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV. He's like a super agent, and he was saying in Napoli, people have a picture of Jesus and a picture of Maradona. I
think they actually have the churches in Argentina as well that will I don't want to use the word worship. This it makes me feel a bit weird, but I think they genuinely he's a god over there as well.
I mean, fair play. He did win him a World Cup, which Messi hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure he'd be well aware of.
I think everybody's reminded him several times.
Yeah.
So that World Cup in 1986, people think about it as the Messi World Cup, hand of God, scoring that amazing goal against England also.
Yeah.
But the tactics are so important because Bilardo, the manager, needed to get the best out of Messi and the team as a whole. So he brought in a 3 at the back system. So with this system, he had the 2 wing backs that pushed up very aggressively, and that was actually quite a defensive move. That was to eat up the opposite full-back space so they couldn't come forward and hurt the Argentinians.
Okay, so sort of high pressing on the wings.
Yeah, high pressing on the wings.
Okay.
And then there are 3 midfielders in front of 3 centre-backs, kind of also another layer of protection.
Yeah.
They also have some box-to-box involved as well. And then Maradona was playing behind the centre-forward with a number 10 role.
Okay.
And that freed him up completely. And Bilardo was well known.
Harder to track as a number 10 rather than being a number 9.
Exactly, and he didn't have to do any sort of defending because he had such a good defensive structure behind him.
Yeah.
And Bilardo was a big fan of European discipline. It was one of the things he was quite proud of. And during that World Cup, they only conceded 3 goals up until the final when they beat West Germany 3-2. And even when they conceded 2 goals against West Germany, they're from set pieces. And he kind of told the press, guys, that wasn't my tactics. That's set pieces. There's a bit of individuality involved there.
Yeah.
You know how managers can be a bit self-obsessed.
Sounds like Mourinho.
Yeah. Defensive managers.
Player blame. Not my fault, not my problem.
I
told him what to do in training.
And this defensive stability really enabled Maradona to do his thing. And he actually contributed to 71% of Argentina's goals.
That's incredible.
During that World Cup. And since 1962, that's the second highest percentage for any World Cup winning player.
Yeah.
Do you know which player has contributed more than 71% of the goals for the World Cup winning team?
Last 20 years? Or?
Last 20 years.
Don't know, Brazil, Ronaldo?
And it's a fairly good guess, actually. It was David Villa.
Really?
Contributed 75%
David Villa?
of Spain's goals in 2010.
Fair play.
Not bad.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that. That's not. I mean, brilliant player.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, an absolute poacher. But you never have thought that you almost see him as a player who finishes off the chance, right?
Yeah.
Not the guy feeding everyone around him, but just goes to show, doesn't it? And there's also, I think, so Spain this World Cup. There's been, you know, big debate over whether Diego Costa or whether Morata, and like let's face it, Morata's had not a great year. But one of the problems with Costa is his ability to sort of link up with these other players, and that's one of the reasons why he's not such a favourable option or a certain option. Whereas, let's face it, you'd hate to have to defend against Costa, but I think his link-up play with the other players is maybe disadvantaged him, and that shows how good David Villa is at linking up with other players.
David Villa was a very smart player. He wasn't necessarily the quickest or the strongest, but I think he had a very good footballing brain.
Intelligent player.
Yeah, and Costa, it's interesting because you'd imagine if you have Diego Costa, who's played for your country, he's guaranteed starter, isn't he? But
you think so? Yeah. Like you'd hate to defend against him.
But I think Spain is probably one of the only teams he doesn't fit them. I think France, they could build around him, Germans and everything.
Germans would love him, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They'd love to have him in France.
Like a beast. But Spain play a certain way, don't they? I mean, Morata knows that way better than Diego Costa.
Very intelligent play, the Spain players, aren't they?
Yeah.
So maybe they have someone who's stunting that a little bit.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they pick. If you were a gambling man, who do you think? I mean, this is Morata. Until a year ago, he was the man for Spain, wasn't he, up front? But
and they thought that maybe with Conte, he could bring him to #1 status, like at club level, to translate into international level.
Way, though, isn't it?
Yeah, he's had a pretty poor second half of the season, Morata.
Yeah, was he even playing in the FA Cup final?
I think he came on the last couple of minutes.
Came on, yeah. See,
Giroud's even ahead of him now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, wow. The ultra plan B is now plan A.
Yeah, I mean, he's a beautiful man, Olivier Giroud. Just for that reason, he deserves to start. Maybe.
Well, great for marketing. You know, the amount of female fans that might potentially go to Stamford Bridge. But anyway, Brazil. I think what you said then about Argentina and the idea that, you know, in terms of tactics, what they did is they set up to have a defensive sort of unit. Would you agree with that? Defensive unit, so that they can let Maradona and the other players, the attacking players, have no defensive responsibilities.
Correct.
Is that that's correct, right? Okay, so I think that Brazil 2002 it was pretty similar. So they played a 3-4-1-2 formation, and the 4 was 2 centre midfielders, and the two wingers were actually wing backs, and they were Roberto Carlos and Cafu.
Legends of the game.
Yeah, the 1 and the 2, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Ronaldo. So basically what this team did is they set up so that Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho had like no defensive responsibilities. They could just, you know, get the ball, attack, not worry if they lost it. The full-backs could also push up, you know, Cafu, Roberto Carlos, absolute legends in terms of getting up the pitch and be able to get back again. There's so much engine, so much
stamina,
petrol in the tank for those players, right? But then the 3 completely defensive, the 2 centre midfielders again. That was Gilberto Silva and Kleberson. And actually, prior to the World Cup, one of the big shots prior to the 2002 World Cup for Brazil was Juninho.
The Brazilian free kick maestro.
Exactly, the former Lyon and Brazil free kick maestro. Like, I think he probably must have been the best free kick leader I've ever seen.
I can't think of him doing anything other than taking free kicks.
Well, in fairness, that's slightly unfair because he was a very creative player. Yeah. But the fact that he was not even brought into the World Cup was because they wanted to have literally 2 centre midfielders who just, you know, broke up play, defended the back 3, and basically didn't allow, you know, the team to get outnumbered in attack when they sacrificed Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Rivaldo's defensive responsibilities. So I guess that worked wonders. And Ronaldo was the player of the tournament. Ronaldinho scored that amazing goal against England.
Did he mean it?
He says he did. I believe him. Yeah, he's my favourite player of all time. So
David Seaman thinks he's BSing. David Seaman says no one takes an effort from there. 40 yards out, no one does. That's a David Seaman impression. Terrible.
David Seaman needs to cut his ponytail. But yeah, no, I think that whole structure, it's exactly the same sort of concept where you let your best players have attacking freedom, and you set up so defensively with a lot of players at the back. I think as well that's something that people don't really give Brazil credit for.
No, not at all.
The
Actually, I wanted to go way back when.
Okay.
1950s time.
Okay.
Before we were born.
Yeah.
Before I knew what was going on.
Only a little bit before we were born.
Only
right?
a little bit.
Yeah.
And Hungary were the team to beat back then, led by Puskás.
Yeah.
And they had quite an innovative formation back then. They called it the WM.
Okay.
So it's three defenders, 2 in front of them, then 2 in front of them, then 3 attackers. So it was pretty gung-ho football.
Yeah.
That was like rock and roll.
That's very attacking.
That's
isn't
very
it?
attacking.
That's quite exciting.
Yeah, I wish teams would do that.
WM.
Mourinho, take note. If you listen to this, Jose, take note of
It's got
this.
quite a nice ring to it, the WM. Rather than like 4-4-2, 4-3-3 or whatever, it's like WM.
WM.
Sounds quite cool.
So Hungary, led by Puskás, they got to the final in 1954, and on the way to the final, they beat Brazil 4-2 in what was known as the Battle of Bern. It was quite a feisty affair, I'm led to believe. And 4 years later, when Brazil won the World Cup in 1958, they introduced 4 at the back. It was 4-2-2-2. And the idea was, so they were the innovators in this, have a good defensive structure to empower their attacking players, such as Pelé, to do their thing. They're much like Brazil in 2002. And yeah, they were innovators in defensive structure, defensive football in many ways.
Okay. So well, you call them innovators, but who are the masters of defence for you in terms of international football?
Thing is, I know you're a
I
proud.
think we both know
You're
the
a proud
answer
cause
is.
for Italian.
I think, yeah.
The little bit olive skin shows.
Very proud when I see them hustling attackers around the box and keeping a clean sheet.
Dirty
And that's
Italians.
That's the
Greasy
problem.
hair.
I think that's the problem though. Like they won the World Cup in 2006, and people remember Materazzi, getting Zidane sent off, and it's a sad image for football, really. From a certain point of view, and a lot of people will also say 2006 Italy set up to defend, not to win matches. And you know what? Maybe that's true, but they did a bloody good job at defending. I mean,
They did.
in the whole of the World Cup, they conceded 2 goals. In the whole of the World Cup, 2 goals, and 1 goal was a penalty in the final.
Yeah.
So only 1 from out of play, and that goal was an own goal. So in the whole World Cup, they didn't concede a single goal by an opposition player in free play.
Anti-football, I call the Italians.
It's
Boring football. God, good thing I don't remember that well.
You know what? It's not the most attractive football to watch, but they got the job done.
Yeah.
And if only, I mean, England would be drooling over the idea of getting the job done, right? That's what they struggled to do.
Yeah, it's
the
true.
Italians are masters at doing that. And actually, again, in the World Cup, that if you look at that 2006 winning team, it's got to be one of the most average football teams to win the World Cup of our lifetime.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's
It's not a Spain, it's not a Germany, it's not like
that
Brazil
German team, that Brazil team, that Spain team. They all had world class players all over the pitch.
France with Zidane, 98.
Yeah, world class players and players who people will remember for a long time. Italy, they had, in fairness, they had their defence. They had Cannavaro, brilliant player, Buffon, brilliant player. But then their front sort of sits. The best players they had were Pirlo, who is a brilliant player, and Totti.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them around that were very average, and players who were good players, playing for good clubs. Cameron, AC, Juve, good
Tony.
player. People you forget though.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
People you don't remember. And I think the key to that success was, again, the system they played, the tactics. They got the best out of the players, so they were playing like they almost call it a lopsided 4-4-2. And what they would do is it basically became like a 4-1-3-1-1. And that sort of 1, the 4-1, the 1 of that was Gattuso / Pirlo.
Yeah.
It was one of those players I think actually Pirlo was deeper in the field, so closer to the defence behind the halfway line than...
Like a quarterback role.
Exactly, he was a quarterback. He was just basically staying behind the halfway line, spraying balls to Tony, who's very aerial, and Totti was running off him as a sort of a shadow false 9.
Yeah.
And Totti, the reason why Totti was so effective, it sounds like it was a little bit like what Maradona did, but it was certainly something that was implemented earlier in the season in Totti's team at Roma. So Roma, in the season leading up to 2006 World Cup, they had a lot of injuries, a lot of injuries to attacking players, and so basically the Roma manager, I think it's Spalletti, he's a bald guy with a moustache, and he didn't invent this system, but he certainly pioneered it in the modern era. It's a false 9 system. It's where you have your most front forward player essentially sitting in between the opposition's defence and the midfield in that sort of grey area.
Yeah, those pockets that no defender likes to go.
Those pockets, because if a centre-back gets dragged out, they're out of position. And the idea is that then Totti's an intelligent enough player and a good enough passer to pick out one of the runners, one of the wingers running past, or these other players who are involved. If they don't come out and go to meet him, then he's got the ball and he's got space and he might be able to shoot, he might be able to pass. But yeah, the idea was that using a very good defence, a very good goalkeeper, and like 2 or 3 good attacking players, they managed to win a World Cup. And that's like System 101, Tactics 101, right?
Tactics 101. So far we spoke a lot about defensive tactics. Which, actually, when you think about tactics, defence is usually the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And so...
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Well, we'll see. Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
And then, so which tactic do you think is going to be the prevailing tactic in this World Cup coming up?
I think in the Champions League this year, it's become apparent that teams like Roma, Man City, Liverpool have all done very well from high press football. Yeah. Roma beat Barcelona by high press, didn't they? In the return leg. And Liverpool and Man City have definitely done it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think some sort of counter press is going to win. I don't see a team doing in Italy this time around.
No, I don't think so. I think that was a very special tactical setup.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a type of counter press, and you've got different teams that do different types. I mean, Brazil follow very much the Liverpool model. So the manager Chiche in 2017 said that Liverpool played the most similar to us. So that's going to be more like that. And then you have the Germans, who I feel a bit more like Man City. They like to do the press, but like to control possession a lot more. Whereas Brazilians like to get the ball, then just run forward straight away with the 3 attackers. Mm-hmm. So I guess we're looking at one of those two. I mean, so Germany, when they want to counter press, they counter press in order to prevent the counter attack, and they get the ball back, and they like to kind of recycle the possession to build their attack once more. Whereas Brazil, and actually Brazil did this against Germany in a recent friendly, when they do the counter press, they use it as a playmaker as well. So they get the ball back, then they run forward straight away to get the ball and get the goal essentially. So
it's just so I'm understanding of the way that Germans counter press. So when they haven't got the ball, and when, let's say, the opposition left back has the ball, what's the difference between the Man City counter press and the German one? Sorry, the German one and the Brazilian one.
So I think the German one is slightly different in that the attacking play is so much more fluid.
Okay.
That whoever's almost closest will start doing the counter press themselves.
Okay.
The way they do it isn't too different, but because the way Man City and Germany play attacking football, everyone's got their own positions.
Right, okay.
So a good example was Thierry Henry when he was playing at Barcelona under Pep. He was instructed to stay on the left-hand side because he was a left winger. Okay. But he saw an opportunity to drift in field and actually scored a goal as a consequence. Yeah. But Pep got angry with him and took him off at half-time. And Henry was explaining the reason is because everybody's got their positions going forward, that when the team loses the ball, they're already in the position to do the counter press. So I knew to go for their right back, and then Iniesta would back me up, and close off all the avenues for them to do short passing. So they'd have to go either long ball or the pass would get intercepted.
Okay, so it seems like the Man City / German way is slightly more structured in terms of I think when Liverpool have scored those goals with in the Champions League with Mane and Salah, it does seem like you don't know which positions, which players didn't pop in which position.
Yeah, it's free flowing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, would you agree that one of those tactics are going to win?
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that because I was doing a bit of reading.
I'll check you out.
Reading some academic journals.
Smarter than you look. Academic journals.
Yeah. So this was.
I've got to be clear, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone's listening to this. Alice has got a master's degree. He likes to show off.
Stop
academic
it.
journals.
Makes me blush.
Academic.
We got one of those masters that don't mean anything anymore. that was a waste of it, yeah. But hey, we moved on from that now.
We're doing a football podcast, and he's going to academic journals. That's how smart he is.
But I think that the reason I think that it's not silly to talk about academic journals because I actually you see managers interviews and sometimes they talk about Sam Allardyce is really big into his sports science and his tactics and his data, and you hear about players on the journey home, they get given their stats of how much whatever they've done during the match, their heart rate, their mileage they've run, their areas in the pitch, their heat maps. So I think they're new research and research that's conducted is probably going to be considered in some way, or just they're going to be aware of it. Okay,
Yeah.
I think this is quite good. So this is in the Journal of Sports Science. It was published, Sports Sciences, if you want to find it. It was published in 2015, and basically what it is, it's a mathematical assessment of the 64 games that occurred in the 2014 FIFA World Cup. So that's all the group games.
Okay,
They looked at all the group games, all the data from that, and they considered like 24 data points from each of those games. I'm not going to bore you with the list. This is already making me feel quite tired. But like, you know, the sort of stats they look at: shots on target, shots from set piece, possession, number of fouls, yellow cards, red cards, number of blocks.
Said you weren't going to bore us.
Yeah, but just to give you a flavour.
Oh, that's the flavour.
Of you know, of how you know how many things they take into account, even corners, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to see how do these different stats lead to an increase in scoring a goal, increase possibly in scoring a goal. How do these stats link to a goal being scored, which I think is quite key. And what they found, one of the most effective ways of scoring a goal, and this is crazy, right? So you're more likely to score a goal from a counter attack than from a shot inside the box. That's what this study basically concluded.
Okay.
And what's the thought process behind that? The thought process is that a shot inside the box, you know, that might lead to a block.
Yeah.
And they actually found that a block was the best way of not conceding a goal.
I'm with
Okay,
you.
so that the highest impact of decreasing the likelihood of another team scoring a goal is by blocking, as opposed to reducing the number of shots they have.
Okay.
So you know,
I'm with you.
That's quite important, and yeah. So I think that, and the reason why a counter attack is more likely to lead to a goal than a shot inside the box, because blocks can occur, and you might be having a shot. When there's 5 defenders crowded in there and it's not going anywhere, and we saw that in the FIFA 2006 World Cup with Italy, for example, really obvious. But counter attacks, you know, you hit them on the break, you outnumber them, and I think as well, like the high press football,
The counter press,
clearly, you know, believes fundamentally that the best way to score a goal is quick turnaround of the ball and, you know, catch them off guard.
Yeah.
And the second reason why it's so good at counter attack and high press is that if you do it like that, you can't get caught in a problem area defensively.
Okay, I'm with you.
So it's actually almost a form of defence as well. The fact that if your whole thing is counter attack football, you only get so many players forward, and the base of the team stays back.
So this counter attacking football, that includes counter press as well.
Well, I mean, the way they you know
Defined
it was a number of different methods, but it was like, an example would be a ball quickly manoeuvred, 3 passes in 6 seconds into the attacking third. That's an example. There was like a few other ones. I can't be bothered going through all of them.
Basically, counter press is a form of counter attack.
Yes,
Getting the ball back quickly and then going forward quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean that what we just said then. A ball being quickly manoeuvred, 3 passes within 6 seconds into the attacking thirds, and the ball must be under control. That is a counter press.
That's very Liverpool.
That is that's
very Jurgen Klopp.
But it shows that was the most effective method to score a goal in the 2014 World Cup. So I think Argentina in the final, they almost tried to do that, didn't they? But they had a lot of their players back, and they left Higuain and Messi up the top, isolated, hoping to get the ball to them, and then, you know, and also soak up pressure. Maybe they soaked up too much pressure, and, you know, once Jimmy did the breakthrough, they didn't look like scoring.
No, they didn't. I mean, they had a few good chances. I remember the first half. I think Messi had a good chance. Maybe Higuain as well.
Yeah, Higuain, Messi. I think for some reason I felt like at half time they could have been 3-0 up.
Yeah.
I think they had a few like really good chances. I think Higuain definitely had more than one.
Nice. So we basically, to summarise the tactics side of it.
But okay, so hang on, before we summarise that data, do you agree that this World Cup the counter attack will be the most effective method in scoring, or do you think that it depends on, you know, what team's playing, or what? Because a lot of teams now are using it in Champions League. Yeah. So
I'm thinking of the teams that are my favourites, and I'm thinking counter press is a big part of it. Okay. And I think the underdogs I have in my head, they'll be using a counter attacking football as well.
Yeah.
Like Iran, for example. under Carlos Queiroz. Very defensive.
Yeah.
You never know. They might get to the quarterfinals. Might get out of the group of Spain and Portugal.
The stat we said earlier: no team with a foreign manager has ever won a World Cup. So that means you're officially doomed with Carlos Queiroz. You need an Iranian if you want to win the World Cup.
I've got an Iranian passport if they're looking for someone. Okay, cool. So moving on to mentality.
Yeah.
Who's your kick-off mentality? Play mentality.
You can go if you want.
Okay, so I was actually curious about this, as there's one team with so much talent, and maybe they've not made the most of the talent in the past. Can you guess what I'm talking about?
Holland.
Le Bleu.
Ah, yeah.
The French.
True.
Those French guys. So if you look at the media in France, it's not too different from how we treat the footballers in England as well. So Paul Pogba actually made a little YouTube video in 2016 for the Euros, and I'm going to quote him. Sorry, guys. Should I do a French accent?
You do whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Is it racist if I do a French accent?
I don't think that can be considered racist, no.
Okay, I don't want to do it anyway. I don't want to take the risk.
You gotta be careful in this world.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah.
So, the French press, are you not tired of creating controversy all the time? Seriously, in 2010 it was you. In 2012, one again. And 2016 too? And he's claimed the media is always putting too much pressure on the players for no reason. So this example was he wore flip-flops to a team dinner, and they were saying it was a sign of disrespect to Deschamps. And obviously he's saying, it wasn't a sign of disrespect, I just want to wear flip-flops. It's a team dinner at the end of the world.
That's crazy, isn't it? That's so petty, but that's so media. Especially British media. That's all we know, but you hear managers coming from other countries and going, the media in this country is way too much, they focus on silly things, but almost like tabloid press, isn't it? This sort of thing, making a big deal over nothing. Over nothing.
And not just that, so France has got this problem with the media, make a big deal out of things. But there's always a question mark, wrongly probably, generally speaking wrongly, of how racist the national team is in the association.
Sorry, as in the team players themselves?
No, the management, the actual association, and things like this. And France has got a lot of problems with migration, or those issues that we all know about.
Yeah.
So Benzema and Ben Arfa obviously didn't get selected in 2016 World Cup, 2016 Euros.
I thought Benzema did something bad though.
It was the blackmail accusations.
Oh really? Not only accusations you're saying? I thought they were confirmed.
No, they weren't confirmed. That he was found innocent. I'm not
really?
Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm 99% sure. Because if he was found guilty, that's a big crime. Blackmailing someone for money.
Did he go to court or not?
I think it was dropped. I think he was found innocent.
Really?
He was there was no. He didn't.
But he hasn't been in the French team since, right?
Yeah, but this is the problem that's coming up. So there's accusations of racism towards Deschamps from Benzema. That's one thing, which is also pretty bad. But even Eric Cantona, he made the claim, and I'm sorry to quote again, guys.
No, this is interesting.
Cantona said in 2016, Deschamps, he has a really French name. Maybe he is the only one in France to have a truly French name. Nobody in his family mixed with anybody, like the Mormons in America. So I'm not surprised he used the legal situation of Benzema not to take him. Then he went on to talk about Ben Arfa, who had a great season at Nice. And Ben Arfa is maybe the best player in France today, but they have some origins. I'm allowed to think that.
It sounds like he's confident that Deschamps is discriminating because he's a French person who only likes French people who are purely French.
Yeah, but I don't think that's necessarily true, because him and Pogba have a good relationship and things like this.
So, it's quite a big claim from Cantona to say that. I know Cantona likes his big statements, but I don't know.
I think it's not. Personally, I don't think it's true, because there's so many minorities in that French team.
And also, wasn't Ben Arfa in the 16 squad? Or was he or not?
I think he was in the 2012 squad.
Okay.
When he was playing at Newcastle again.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you have that sort of question mark in your team, how does that affect the mentality? When things are going tough, the media might bring it up again because they're looking for a media story. Maybe this creates an uncomfortable atmosphere in the dressing room.
Well, we've seen with France, that there's always been problems, isn't there? I can remember when Sami and Nasri and some of the players tried to sit in the seats of Henri on the bus or something. Remember that?
Yeah.
And that got blown up to be some big thing. I don't know whether it was in reality in the actual French dressing room, but it seems to be always these little things creeping around in the French team.
Exactly, and hopefully it doesn't translate into this World Cup, because they're such a talented team, and if they pull together, then I think they've got a great chance.
But I think that, if we still on the subject of France, you talked about team, but in the recent friendly against Colombia, I think that was when was that? I can't remember.
Quite recently. Yeah.
I think it was a few months ago, and they were 2-0 up at half time. and they ended up losing 3-2 to Colombia. And Lloris came out after the game and said to the media that we've got better individuals in Colombia, but we don't play as a team. And I mean, for Lloris to come out and say it to the French media, yeah. I mean, that doesn't show much confidence in the managers getting to play as a team.
No,
Surely your first port of call would be speak to the manager rather than speak to the media, when inevitably that's going to get you in trouble.
I always thought when you say this as a player, it's not awkward with the manager afterwards.
It must be. That's what I mean. It must be so awkward.
It's so awkward.
So surely, unless it's just heat of the moment and you're super annoyed and a little bit immature. Yeah. But Lloris is a mature player. He's been around for a while.
Captain of Spurs, captain of France.
Yeah, exactly. And you think that he would know, if anybody, to go to the manager first. So maybe he's already been to the manager like in previous matches, and maybe that was his last resort to try and call the manager out about it.
Maybe he knows he's undroppable as well, because he's by far the best goalkeeper they have. Mandanas is number 2, who's not as good as Lloris, so maybe he has that sort of power.
I think
France is a.
I think the point you make on France about the media almost having an effect on the team. I mean, I think that's definitely true for England, right?
yeah, for sure.
For sure. But also, when we're talking about mentality and we're talking about player mentality, I think that certain players, the big pin-up poster stars like a Wayne Rooney, can become quite uncomfortable with the amount of pressure that it's put on them. And I think that that's been the case for Messi. So Messi, in 2016, I think he retired, didn't he?
Yeah, after Copa America.
Copa America, summer of 16, he retired after basically missing a penalty in the shootout final of Copa America to Chile, and they lost the match, and that was the 4th final that Argentina had been in that he'd lost with them. So 4th final, and I think the pressure, the criticism that he received when playing for Argentina sort of boiled over. And the next day he retired from international football, and his statement went as follows: "I think this is best for everyone. First of all for me, then for everyone. I think there's a lot of people who want this, who obviously are not satisfied, as we're not satisfied reaching a final and not winning it. It's very hard, but the decision is taken. Now I will not try to move, and there will be no more going back." So he has gone back.
Yeah, he's gone back. Liar. He's a liar.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't respect him as a man anymore because he went back on his word.
Well, you know what? I think a lot.
I'm joking.
Actually, no, but you joke. But I think that was the reaction of a lot of people. A lot of people said, he doesn't care. He's been at Barcelona since 13. He's not really Argentinian. He's a Spanish player. He's more comfortable with Barcelona. They don't see the best performances from him in an Argentinian shirt, and they associate with him not caring as much.
Unfairly, because he's done well for them. I think he's like
hugely unfairly.
Yeah, hugely unfair.
I mean,
he got them qualified. I think.
Yeah, he got them qualified by scoring a hat trick to get them qualified.
Yeah.
So it's not true. But I think the second sort of sentence there, where he focuses on, there's a lot of people who want this who are obviously not satisfied. Also the fact that he says, I think this is best for everyone, first for me, then for everyone. He almost feels like he's letting people down. And for him, a player of that quality, of that, debatably one of the best players, the best player of all time, definitely one of the best players of all time. For him to have that psychology shows that, it's not like a Gareth Bale for Wales where the whole nation are egging him on, they love him. Yeah. It almost feels like,
the weight of the shirt is very heavy.
The weight of the shirt is, too heavy. Because if it's too heavy for Messi, who's it suitable for,
That's a good point, yeah.
That's crazy. And I think that, it just shows the sort of psychology, and I think sometimes the psychology of these smaller teams is better because in terms of the sort of psychology the fans and the media put on them is better because there's less expectation and they're more happy to just be there.
Yeah, I mean,
and everything's a plus. Whether
exactly.
It's, Argentina, they've had Maradona, and they compare Messi to Maradona. You're not going to be as good as Maradona until you win us a World Cup like Maradona did. Brazil, the amount of pressure we saw in their home nation. Brazil have never won a World Cup when hosting it. That shows the pressure again.
That's a good point, man. I mean,
England, that team in 2006 was it? They had the golden generation.
Yeah.
Again, the press prior to the World Cup were talking as if we're going to win it, and we lost to Germany, unfortunately, didn't we? Was it?
Yeah.
That was the Frank Lampard goal with This Is Life?
That was 2010.
That was 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I think 2006 was Portugal.
Portugal. Okay, yeah. Was that the one?
The wink. It might have been the wink.
Yeah. But like these are close games, and yet they're seen as a failure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because look at the small teams. The fans enjoy it more as well. So Euro 2016 in France, the Irish are having a great time. The Welsh are having a great time. They go to these tournaments to have a party and support their team. Whereas these big countries like England, they go there, support their team. I'm not being critical, but if they have a scrappy 1-0 win, they're unhappy and they start putting too much pressure. So hopefully England, in the first game, which I think is against Panama, do well.
I think it's actually Tunisia.
Okay, against Tunisia then. Hopefully they do well in that first game.
They've got to score
early on, get a comfortable 2-3-0 win, play well, and then there'd be less pressure on them. Because if it's a scrappy 1-0 or if it's a 0-0, my God, I think that's tense.
So much pressure. Yeah.
So yeah, looking at the team mentality and the players' mentality for this World Cup, which team are you most sceptical of? You most worried
mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the big teams.
Yeah.
Okay, who do we consider to be the big teams?
Just the 5-star teams on FIFA.
I'd say Belgium are the obvious ones who are lacking in mentality.
Yeah.
France, I think as well, judging from what Hugo Lloris said, lacking in mentality. I think when you say mentality though, I think it is a number of factors. I think one of the factors is a team that knows each other well and plays well together. And I think with England, I'm not sure. I don't know how they're going to react to this. They could come out the blocks, all guns blazing, playing like they do for their clubs, all this stuff. Or they could come out as a team who don't really know each other well because they've played so many different players and so many different systems. There's two ways it could go. So for me, France are ones that are obvious with player mentality that I think maybe will fall short. I think Belgium constantly falls short.
Yeah.
You?
Well, I think France is the negative one actually. I'm quite worried about them because I think it won't take much to destabilise the team. But one team I want to look at, want to be more positive, Alistair. I think we're quite negative.
Well, you're asking me which was your
I know.
Negative question.
I'm going to try and I want to be the positive one.
Okay,
so I'll ask you the negative question.
Okay. Okay.
So Brazil, I'm actually very positive about in terms of player
Okay.
mentality,
Okay.
Team atmosphere and stuff like that. So obviously 4 years ago it was a disaster in the semi-final. Absolute disaster. Lost 7-1.
Yeah, it got to the point where it literally it was like watching school kids kick the football around. Like 70 minutes, they were just boosting it, weren't they?
It's hard to
Their
watch.
heads were completely gone. Yeah, it was quite sad to watch. Agreed.
Then Scolari got replaced by Dunga, and he tried his best. But he was very mediocre, very uninspiring whilst he was there. And then he got replaced by Chiche, and Chiche and Dunga were quite pragmatic in their styles. But Chiche, he started Coutinho, he got Gabriel Jesus in, started Firmino, got in new players, Marquinhos is starting now, and he built a more fun atmosphere, and he made sure that the semi-final was a ghost of the past and stopped dwelling on it. And he got them from 6th place in the qualifier, so they were struggling to qualify for the World Cup, to top of the group, clear by 10 points. So they got so much momentum going in, they all believe in the manager, they enjoy playing together. I think Brazil have got a good team mentality going into this tournament, and I'm optimistic for them.
They recently beat Germany in a friendly one as well.
Yeah, they did.
Which is good, because Germans take friendly seriously, I think.
Yeah, they do. Moving on.
But yeah.
So I think the last. Or do you want to talk more about mentality?
I was going to say quickly, right? So, player psychology. I think one of the most. I think the moment when people often pick up on player psychology is when it's a knockout, when it's a close game, and when you see those little moments that tip people over or how they respond.
Okay.
And I think that what I was going to ask you is a question. Do you think, when you see players in the semi-final, it's 0-0, 70 minutes, and you see one team take the lead and manage to hold off the other team, those little moments, do you think that's something that can be learned during the World Cup through playing with the international team, or do you think that's almost like an aggregation of individuals who've been doing that in the important games for their clubs?
I think it's the former. So I want to very quickly talk about Wales. I know they're not in the World Cup, but we love them. So in 2016, when they beat Belgium in their quarterfinals, they were up against it. The opening few minutes, 20 minutes, Belgium really controlled the match. They got the 1-0 lead.
Yeah.
And player for player, Belgium was so much better than Wales. But the team mentality Wales had, Joe Ireland had the confidence to get on the ball, start dictating play. I think that came from Chris Coleman having that team for 6 years, or whatever it was, 4 years back then. And building that team spirit and that self-belief.
Yeah, okay, I actually fully agree with that. I think, yeah. Agreed.
Nice. So the last point then, it's about preparation.
Yeah.
So do you want to start with preparation?
Yeah, I think, preparation, I guess it starts off with the qualifiers, the friendlies become important, and then I think almost like the World Cup is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
It almost becomes, you get players, notoriously Spain have always, absolutely hammered people in qualifiers and then not made the cut, apart from, 2010. But I'd say preparation, I mean, which teams do you think are going to be the most prepared this World Cup?
I'm going for Brazil, Germany are the two favourites, and there's a reason why they're two favourites.
Yeah, I agree. I think Germany. It's almost a cliche that German people are methodical, they're well prepared, and I think that actually that's a perfect stereotype for the German team. And if you look at, just in terms of recent preparation, friendlies, right? So, friendly Germany, you pick up the bench, you can play whoever you want. You can choose to play some underdogs. You choose to play people who aren't in the World Cup, who aren't going to, maybe tackle your players as hard.
Yeah.
Or you can pick the hardest people to play, and that's what they did. They picked France, Brazil, England, Spain, and Lowe said these are the teams who are going to be, for him, the big ones to beat. And I think that that goes to show that even 4 games for the World Cup, they're trying to learn things about their team. They're sort of making the most of their time, the best use.
Yeah.
And I think that what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's why Germany will be hot favourites going in, because don't leave any corner or any stone unturned. That's the right expression. Nearly got it wrong there.
Yeah.
And then you compare that with the Belgians. So when you think of Germany, you think of a team that's so well prepared, and just they know what they're doing. You think of a Roberto Martinez team, maybe you don't have that sort of confidence. Okay. So in the most recent friendlies, the friendlies before picking your World Cup squad, when everybody else did 2, Belgium only did 1, and it was against Saudi Arabia, where they won 4-0. They're obviously going to win, and how much can you really learn from that kind of friendly?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely nothing.
But one thing I will say, the funny thing is, so they kind of got a settled team more or less. A few players, Witsel or Dembele or whatever, generally is quite settled. And Carrasco was playing left wing back.
Right.
And Saudi Arabia actually kind of exploited him a few times.
Really?
And if Carrasco was getting kind of exploited by Saudi Arabia, coming up to the World Cup when they play the big teams, even England should be confident.
Oh yeah, I think England are really good chances, but I think they could easily beat them.
Yeah.
I easily go either way, not easily beat them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so you think if Belgium go out in the second round or the quarterfinals to a smaller team, the media will scrutinise Martinez, and rightly so this time, for only having that one friendly and not testing different left backs they could have had.
Yeah.
Left wing backs they could have had.
Well, I think it was when Belgium played Mexico, I think it was in November, and he drew 3-3, and Kevin De Bruyne came out and said, individually we're better than Mexico, but unless we sort out our tactics, this is going to happen.
Yeah, and unfortunately Martinez has not really handled that situation, I don't think.
Yeah, I think Belgium are a good example. Any other people you want to talk about in terms of preparation?
I think as we're running a bit out of time, I think maybe that was
I want to make one more point, preparation, and this is, again, Germany.
Always about the Germans.
Yeah, just preparation 101 here. So, 2014, the last World Cup, all the 32 teams in the World Cup had their own dedicated, performance and video analysts. Germany were the only ones who admitted this. I'm sure, if they're admitting it, why wouldn't anyone else?
Yeah.
They were the only ones to build a database to measure and analyse individual and team performance and strategies. So they basically, from 2012 onwards, they had 50 students from a sports university in Cologne compiling just like data sets of all their opposition tactics, statistics. This became an app that the German players could use.
Okay.
So they had they could literally look at their opponents, what tactics they like to use. They could even analyse their own performance relative to their opponents. The left back versus the right winger and all this stuff.
That is sick, to be fair. Very nerdy.
It's very nerdy, but it's literally it's a step above.
Trust the Germans to suck the fun out of football.
Yeah. And just this is the last thing I'm going to say, and it's a quote from Hansi Flick, who's the assistant coach, and this was an interview prior to semi-final against Brazil in 2014, and they asked about the team's preparations. And he said, "We've got this enormous database to draw upon, and together with our scouts, we're able to take a close look at our opponents and make our plans for the match. It's a project we've worked on intensively for the last 2 years. We've been able to cull some very high quality information from all the data from the students. It's very much helped us to prepare."
Wow.
And I think that shows how much they valued that. And I think, as technology becomes more important within football, it's going to become more and more important. And I think this World Cup, there's probably going to be another shift to that.
Yeah.
Who's done the most behind the scenes? It'll be hard to gauge, but I guess we'll find out from the final results.
We will. And so I think that...
Sorry, that was just a motorbike and...
Hell's Angels are living around
hopefully
here.
it's gone now.
Yeah,
That's
hopefully.
so annoying, so loud.
It's alright.
Yeah.
So I think I can guess your answer here, Alistair, because you've been saying a lot of positive things about them. But who are your favourites for the World Cup? To summarise this podcast.
Such a boring answer, isn't it, saying Germany?
But you're quite a boring person. You've got a master's degree. You're quoting articles.
The dry answer to that is Germany, isn't it? Just because. But they would be the first team to win a consecutive World Cup in
years.
Or ever, maybe?
It might be ever.
Maybe ever?
I think it's ever, yeah.
I don't think anyone... Or actually, it might be Brazil back in the 50s that did it.
Well, 58 and 62. No.
I don't know.
70 and 74, I think it was.
Basically, it's really hard to do.
Yeah, basically.
So maybe that cancels them for it. So, yeah, Germany, for me, are favourites because, they've got... The positions they didn't have, the area they struggled with in 2016 was a striker. Timo Werner's been prolific for them in qualifiers. Lam's retired. They replaced him with Kimmich. He's been scoring in the Champions League as a right back.
Yeah.
I think if Neuer's fit, that's a massive
plus.
That's a huge one for them.
Ter Stegen's not bad.
To be fair, he's good with his feet as well.
Yeah.
But still, Neuer is
next level.
Neuer is Neuer.
Yeah.
I think Germans have got to be considered as strong favourites.
Definitely. Who are your dark horses?
I think for me, dark horses are Colombia.
Okay.
Because first of all, they've got to semis before. Quarters. Was it quarters they got to?
Yeah, they got to quarters. Yeah.
Quarters. Sorry, they got to quarters last time. Their team they've got some good players in their team. They've got obviously the ones we know about. The Cuadrados, the Falcaos, the James Rodriguez's. They've also got I can't remember, they got a centre back who's playing for Barca now. Yeah. Was it?
I think it's Mina.
Yeah.
And Sanchez for Tottenham.
Yeah. David Sanchez. They got Ospina's a good keeper despite what everyone says. And they've been their manager they've had for 6 years, so he's built a sort of a team ethos. I think they just work as a unit, so they would be good. And also I'd say watch out for Egypt. You just don't know with them. They've got Salah. They've got El Neni, like decent players.
Yeah.
They could do something. You never know.
With Mo Salah, anything is possible.
Exactly.
Mo Salah,
if they set up in a way that they make the use of him and they just keep it tight at the back,
who knows?
They could get out of the group.
Yeah. So
how about yourself?
I think my favourites are the Brazilians.
Yeah.
Because I've already mentioned it a little bit before, but Chiche's got such a good team spirit at the moment. He knows his 11 more or less. Dani Alves is the only problem because he's injured. I think Danilo might be coming in. So that's actually a weak spot they have. But the defence is so much better than 4 years ago when David Luiz was leading that defence. They got Miranda and Marquinhos, and Thiago Silva's not even in the starting lineup.
Yeah,
they got pragmatic midfield with Paulinho, Renato Augusto, and Casemiro. They're strong. They know defensively their duties. They're tactically very astute, and the front three are buzzing. Neymar.
If he's fit.
I think he's fit.
If he's not fit.
I think he'd be fit.
He's got to be fit, isn't he?
I think he'll be fit.
If he's not fit, do they still favourites?
I think they'll still be favourites.
They've got good replacements. Right?
Willian will come in, or Douglas Costa will come in.
Firmino?
Yeah, Firmino will come in.
Got, so I mean, if they started Neymar, they'd have what?
Neymar, Jesus, and then Coutinho.
Oh, yeah. That's a good team. I think it'll be interesting if Brazil played Germany, the midfield battle, because they've got Kadira who's getting a bit older now, and the Brazilian midfielders you've just mentioned have got a lot of legs in them.
A lot of legs. And Toni Kroos is such a technician.
Yeah.
Can he handle it though on his own with just Kadira? And is Ozil going to put in a shift when he needs to?
I think that's key. If we see the Özil of Arsenal where he's good one game and disappears the next, then that they're not going to work as a team.
No.
But I think that Özil's pretty
good for Germany.
He's good. He's consistent for Germany because he knows he has to be.
Definitely. Well, and my dark horses, I'm going to say England, because even though you kind of criticised their chances earlier,
I'm just not sure.
You're not sure. I think now they got Kyle Walker in the back three on the right hand side. I really like him there. He's good on the ball, and they have. The only issue I have is there's no creativity in their midfield apart from Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
I think they should have taken Jack.
I agree.
And we'll see though, but they have so much energy in that team. They've got a prolific striker in Harry Kane. They've got Vardy on the bench, who against the big teams. So if England are playing Germany or Brazil, they're pressing high up. One long ball over the top, Jamie Vardy, that's his bread and butter.
I agree, but I think that, don't you think the problem will be when you have teams who are putting 10 men behind the ball, how are they going to break them down?
Tunisia and Panama, that's why they
That's
needed
my-
Jack. Maybe they'll start Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who I quite like.
I think he's a brilliant player. But I think that it almost, I don't know, I think it would be a lot of balls to play him. He's a Crystal Palace player at the moment, even though if he was a Chelsea player, it would be a different ball game. He would be the guy people would be looking at. But I think that's almost like that stigma of being a...
Oh, there's Crystal Palace guy,
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
He's not going to win anyone in the World Cup, that sort of mentality. But I actually agree. I think you should, if you're bringing those players along, you should play them.
Don't be afraid to use them.
Don't be afraid to use them, exactly.
Nice. Well, I think we conclude this podcast.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.